Good evening and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We have got only 4 more days until the deadline for submissions for the finals, which will be run during the Christmas holidays. And well, that's the 20th of December. And for the exact time and your time zone, better look it up on the website or on Facebook, because well, we've got entrants from all over the world. And to start off, the small inventory of what we are going to see, or likely going to see, because 4 more days we are expecting a lot of updates during those 4 days, but still it should be a reasonable guess as to the strengths and weaknesses of the current bot on the ladder. Starting off the game with a Purple Swarm versus Mad Mix Protoss, and the first Zealot pops right on time, and with some workers there are only 2 Zerglings left and they die, so Mad Mix still ahead in workers, and I would say ahead in technology. But Purple Swarm appears to be starting off with some kind of a lurker thing, and the first goon is trying to have a look and stop that. Now, will we have lurker aspect? Yes. And this goon is sitting over here just to keep tabs on things, and now it will meet the Hydra. And of course a goon is much stronger than a Hydra, so that Hydra is being brought back home, and with a couple of friends they are brave enough to... oh, this one's pretty badly damaged, should take cover. And all the while Lurker Aspect is prepping, so the damaged Hydra is going to be morphed in a Lurker, and the rest of them, oh dear, try to put some pressure on the Protoss. Is there... because the Protoss ought to see this and think, well, perhaps we are going to see Lurkers. And one Lurker egg over here will burrow, and that will contain that bit of the map. And the other one gets killed. That was a badly damaged egg. And oh dear, Protoss still out on the map with a goon and a zealot. And this Lurker over here is keeping tabs on the ramp. So as long as it keeps its head down, it should be okay. And no sign of production of any kind of observer technology or cannons or whatever. So that may take a while. And with only 1 base, oh, the second base just came online. I think that Zerg is in a good position to do a bit of containing. Now 2 Lurkers at the ramp and a handful of Zerglings as well. 3 Lurkers, wow, that's going to be pretty iffy for Protoss. And these 3 Lurkers do a lot of damage. Range is prepping, but it doesn't really look like Mad Mix has got any kind of clue of what's going on, and that it will need to deal with these basically cloak units to get stuff done. The natural nexus will probably never finish, and 2 Lurkers are going for a closer look of the main. Now they... yeah, that may be a forge, or perhaps a robo bay, and then you need an observatory, but the Lurkers have nearly reached the worker lines, and there's the robo bay, and now the workers are coming off the line to help them fight the Lurkers. But with 5 Lurkers you're not going to really make that happen with just probes and the old gateway units. So this game is pretty neatly won by a Purple Swarm, and we are going to go into the next one. And the next game will be one of the recommendations of today, TSMU Random versus SSCAIT. And SSCAIT, of course, the Samsung AI, is in a murdering... oh, no, I ought to show you that now, really, because our ladder currently looks like this. ELO rating, Crazio back on top, more than 100 points up on SSCAIT, and that's mainly because of a new build order, and SSCAIT hasn't pushed an update in, well, about 2 weeks. I do expect one before the deadline of the 20th, and then Crazio had better be ready for that. And Banana Brain has also been updating pretty hard, and Locutus hasn't been updating but still in the 4th place, so that says something about the inherent strength. TSMU Random last update from, well, that's July, and still kicking ass. TSMU probably involved with Cherry Pie as well, so don't know if Cherry Pie is going to play, and if, then TSMU will not participate. Dachin, oh dear, that resets all the time. Dachin, of course, the Locutus clone, hasn't been updated since October, and well, Locutus is even, no, it's a little bit newer, but Locutus is still a lot better than Dachin, really. And then Ironbot with the last update from last year and still kicking ass, so that's pretty well done. Purple Swarm Killabot with a very recent update. We're going to have a look at that because that's very interesting. And of course, Killabot made the finals last year with a beautiful run, a ZVZ Slaughterfest it was, and then fell 4 games to 3 to Cherry Pie. Chris Cokes, McRave doing good, but not as well as we all would have hoped. In about 10th to 12th position, Microwave, Arikama still going very strong. B Reavers there, Cherry Pie's there. Last update right before the finals last year. Simon Prince, Skyforknet, Steamhammer, TSEMU, and then basically the rest of the pack. So that's what it looks like, and a small peek at the game. No, it hasn't really taken off yet. So I ought to show you the Basil ladder, and that's another ladder which basically mimics our beautiful student StarCraft ladder, minus the voting. So if we look at the ranking there, Seda is ahead on Crazio because, well, it doesn't get as many games voted between Crazio and Seda as on the student StarCraft ladder, so that distorts the ranking a little bit. Of course, during the finals, voting will not be enabled either, so this is a rather realistic ranking of these bots. The Cutest in 3rd place, and then Ironbot, what a monster, and Darchin, of course, doing very good as well. So Killabot doing respectively B Reaver, Cherry Pie, TSEMU Random. TSEMU Random is, oh, it's a bit the odd one out, but my hypothesis is that if the other bots don't know which race to play yet, that they have to either rely on a generic build order or face some significant disadvantages. TSEMU is going now for the scout and perhaps might exploit that advantage it's got a little bit more by not showing its scout, so try to get a scout on a building which is not yet complete. It has a smaller range of vision, and then you can know which race the enemy's got without divulging your own race. Now a couple of Marines coming in from Seda, killing the scouting SCV or the scouting probe, while the scouting SCV from Seda is still in there and scouts the range, of course. And now the first goon. The goon is not going to meddle with the scouting SCV yet. Seda playing it very safe with the barracks. I think that's 2 or 3 Marines by now in the bunker, 2 SCVs for repair, the first tank. So Seda doing it pretty safe with the condom, of course, and TSEMU walking out a goon. Always nice to see, but I think that with siege mode, TSEMU has no chance to get things done. But the natural is finished, worker transfer in progress, and the same can be said for this base over here. But now Seda with 3 tanks, and well, the choke is not really as this one could have landed over here to make the choke even harder for TSEMU, and TSEMU will now exploit that by taking some pot shots at that eBay. And TSEMU is not really... Oh, the tanks were on siege. TSEMU can it kill one? No, loses a goon. And does a little bit of damage, but nothing major. 3rd base started with the cannon immediately, and that's what I like about TSEMU. TSEMU has been pushing the envelope for Brute AI so very hard, and with his own bots and now with Cherry Pie, so that's always a good factor. And it doesn't really rely on build order as much as inherently good play, so that's why it's still very, very relevant, even without not posting a major update for about a year. Now Observatory is there, and of course TSEMU, yeah, you can't really get in there, it's just too good, and you should find another way around, either harass the workers or ship something in over here. Perhaps if you capture this ramp, it will be a whole different game after that. But until you do, it's just going to be very unprofitable feeding units into this very narrow choke with the mines, with the turrets, and the bunker, and of course behind that the siege tanks. So TSEMU will macro, and that's good. Lots of cannons, lots of production outside of the main base. A vulture sneaks out and draws a lot of scans, so that's 3 scans wasted. And of course Seda doesn't really use the scans for finding out what's happening in the enemy main, but wasting 3 scans on 1 DT and then still losing your vulture, that must be counted as a loss. Now Seda has got this 2 base position which is good. But as long as TSCMU doesn't lose too much, and that's a bit of an if, as demonstrated here, it's very hard for Protoss to not lose versus this Terran thing, because you've got to do something, but if you are going to do something, you're just going to run into this wall of vultures and mines and tanks behind that. That's very hard to do. Unless, of course, you do a recall or any kind of thing like that, because this is just very juicy. If you drop a couple of DTs over here, that might really wreak havoc with... oh, here comes a shuttle. Wow, will be in it? I don't know. It's really rather careful, and SSCAIT doesn't really react to that. It's killing noobs over here, and the shuttle can't really get too much done for some reason. And I don't know what its payload is, but now SSCAIT has had enough and sending a Goliath to check it out. Meanwhile, TSCMU building a lot of production in this main over here, that's good. And SSCAIT moving out, so TSCMU will now have to do some damage before this thing gets out of hand. And this small drop doesn't really work. And TSCMU can keep SSCAIT on 3 bases for a long time, I think, and the main is getting low for SSCAIT. So if TSCMU holds and the tank cloud doesn't get too impressive, and it is quite impressive already, TSCMU needs to kill stuff. And with a couple of Templars, a couple of good storms, these vultures, they can't really micro in this confined area. And TSCMU should not try to cross these bridges with just infantry. That's very, very damaging. And now with 3 shuttles, but there isn't... oh, there is a goon, but then again, that is quite wasteful as well. That's a nice bit of harass, but versus a tank, doesn't really work. On the other hand, SSCAIT will need to be on its toes for a little bit longer and try to get out of its natural. And that is a very nice stasis. And after the stasis, the goons swoop in with the cloak of the Arbiter and can do a fair bit of damage. You can see that SSCAIT on 170 supply isn't really working. The natural's getting low too. And, well, dropping goons like this, it's a nice trick, but doesn't really work. Or at least the dropping works, but doesn't do any damage. So TSCMU is macroing quite well, has got a huge production tab, and SSCAIT has got this base over here. And now you should kill this ASAP, but TSCMU doesn't really... yes, now it kills the SCV, that's good. And does some damage, that's really very good. And as long as TSCMU can prevent that third, or at least keep SSCAIT on 2 bases, and you've got to do something about this push. That's a lot of shuttles, but I don't know what's in them. And SSCAIT is just going to run straight into the natural because TSCMU's army is God knows where. Where is his army? Where is the army? Got a little bit here. We got something there. And meanwhile, we've got the tank core right up into your natural, doing god-awful things to your economy. And now you've got to use infantry to break a siege with a lot of siege tanks. And of course, that isn't working as well as Protoss hopes it would. And TSCMU has got major issues. Oh, nice EMP on those Arbiters. 2 of them got caught. TSCMU's got a lot of economy and production over here, but these shuttles, they aren't really working at this point, and they do catch the occasional siege tank, but SSCAIT is just going to rock and roll. 3rd base up, 4th base started, and TSCMU's got its priorities all wrong, and losing the main base for no good reason at all, really. Just very hard to stop this siege tank thing. And with some goons, TSCMU should be able to stop that. Just from the gateways, the Arbiters could kill, or at least shoot at this this stupid thingy, science vessel over here. But it looks like TSCMU has abandoned this base, and SSCAIT, oh, TSCMU is now attacking over here. That's very well done, and should be able to tear down this command center. And that's what's important, not killing a couple of workers. And the comsat, so the prioritizing is god-awful. And this is god-awful as well. So you could have killed this command center, but instead a minor damage done to the comsat, a couple of SCV killed, and swept a couple of mines with corresponding cost in units. The main is saved, somehow-ish. There are a lot of vultures still. They're even going after dragoons. The shuttle picks it up. But TSMU really ought to make more of a concerted effort to save the main. And now it does so. So TSMU is not out of this yet. SSCAIT on very low supply. TSMU really playing a wasteful game, but the natural's out. This is mineral only, so SSCAIT's right out of gas. TSMU, while sacrificing the main, because there was a lot of production over here and in the other bases, and a lot of income as well, it prevailed. And now this fourth base of SSCAIT hasn't got the thing in the world to try and stop that. Has got 2 science vessels, but TSMU's got a lot of arbiters, now even stasising the workers. That's very cruel. And although SSCAIT's got a good defensive position over here, TSMU is going to roll straight into that, retaking the natural. Main Nexus is still standing, and TSMU's got a really wacky unit composition. You've got 9, it's got not even 20 fighting units, 4 shuttles, 5 arbiters and 4 observers. So even with that, it's beating, well, the number 2 Terran in the game right now, and that's very impressive. That is very, very impressive, even after not receiving an update for so long. TSMU just ekes out the victory. SSCAIT having to commit too much to killing the main, and the TSMU just with the rallies from all the new expansions made it work. So congratulations. And there goes the main command center. We are going to hop into the next game, which will be a ZVZ with Brian Weber versus Simplicity. And well, Simplicity surprised us with the drop. I shall stop talking about that. And instead I thought, well, let's show you a ZVZ, because last year it was all about Zerg versus Zerg in the final. Ultimately it was Killerbot being defeated by Cherry Pie, and Cherry Pie just well, took the victory. And it will be very interesting to see if ZVZ is going to play a major game this time around. Brian Weber just defending versus Simplicity, so taking the first round. Worker count, Brian Weber doing much better. So it's 10 versus 6 workers, and Simplicity will have to come back from that somehow. Even bringing back a worker now. Okay, now 7 workers doing okay. And once you see something like that, you really ought to, as the Zerg with the worker lead, just build 1 sunken and then try to, oh god, you need to have some forces. The Hydra is right on time, but the Hydra can't really, even with the best micro, not take down 3 Zerglings, and now workers will be lost, mining time will be lost, and Simplicity is building a lot of workers behind this, going for the natural. That's a very wise decision. As long as you've got the enemy on the defense, it is good. And Brian Weber has got a great economy, but hasn't really got the larvae to make this work, and now is starting the natural of its own. But I dare say that Simplicity, after this early aggression, has come back into this game really rather nicely. Quicker with the expansion, although Weber has got the better tech at the moment. You're really going to need to make that count somehow. Could build another hatch, and that is really, if you've got this money, you really ought to make, what's it building? Oh yes, there's the 3rd. So Weber really exploiting its economic advantage this time, but Simplicity has now evened up the worker battle. Oh, and that is way overboard and sunkens. Hello, you've got the enemy at a disadvantage and you build 4 sunkens. That's really 5. That's really a lot. 6, hello. Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit sick. I'll try to mute my sickness out as much as I can, but every once in a while I'll sniff a little bit. So 1 more week until Christmas holiday, I say. So that's a lot of Zerglings, and the Hydras fall to it, but there are so many Sunkens right now, it doesn't really matter. And some tech buildings in the 3rd, that's good. And it looks like Simplicity has found that 3rd and thinks, well, if you've got this forest of Sunkens over here, we'll just run our Zerglings into the 3rd, kill all the works there. And the workers are fighting pretty well, that must be said, but this is a huge loss for Weber. And the Spire got scouted as well, so let's see if Simplicity is going to react to that. Simplicity building a lot less Sunkens, instead has got a fair number of workers and a 4th as well. So both players on 4 bases, And Weber with way too many Sunkens over here is going for a hive. That's really insane. There is no lair unit yet built, and trying to populate this third base while it's completely overrun, and the first time should have given it away. So harass wise, Simplicity is on top. It analyzes where it can strike, and that's very good. It doesn't really try to get in here, but instead just took out the third base, and now the fourth as well. There is not a fighting unit in the world for Brian Weber. What the bloody hell is it doing? It's building one lurker. Okay, so that's good. And as long as you can keep the overlords out of... Oh, and that's not the right position to morph your one lurker. I hope this is going to be another one. Yes, more lurkers will be coming, and of course, now all these Sunkens will come in handy. But then again... I'd say that Simplicity is the more advanced Zerg of the two. And Brian Weber is just struggling to make ends meet now, defending the third with a Sunken is very badly damaged. And still there is no army for Brian Weber at all, and it's... Oh, it's killing a Hydra, that's good. The Hydra is completely oblivious to the lurkers, just going for one or two shots at this poor hapless overlord. Oh, and now the assault is on whatever it was, and the lurkers, so they don't even burrow. So that's pretty bad. And now the Hydras, they shouldn't do that. That's just way too costly. There is an Ultra Cannon for Weber. Weber lost the third again. Has got a hidden base over here, but Simplicity has got things well in control. Almost double the amount of workers. And technology-wise, it's doing okay. It's saving a lot of forces. It's not going to drop, looks like. Let's see if it's got the technology. It's got the speed. It has got the ventral sacs. What the hell is this? That's pretty weird. Okay, but meanwhile, the natural's being run in. And the lurkers are doing well, but... in the end, I think that, well, if you've got 10, you can easily beat 2 lurkers, so that's good. Simplicity doing a lot of damage and killed the new base as well, so Brian Weber taking way too hard, having no forces, leads to a view like this, and it's, yeah, that's very bad for your chances of winning. And Simplicity looking okay. It's not as responsive as Cherry Pie or something like that. And where are all these overlords going? That's what I'd like to know. Oh, and there is one Guardian, but it has to run, and now it will die, so that's unfortunate. And Brian Weber is building all the fancy units, but with 3 army supplies, it doesn't really matter. Simplicity is running around the map with large numbers of units and making more 71 workers and still building drones. Hello, what are you going to do? And is this going to be a drop? Or are these overlords just flying about? Well, we'll be too late anyway. So let's hop into the next game, which will be Cherry Pie. And really, I'm expecting great things from Cherry Pie because Dan Gant, of course, the author of Purple Wave, has been boasting about all the hard work being done. And of course the infrastructure for learning Torchcraft has been made public. That's very welcome. But I for one am very interested to see how Cherry Pie as a bot is going to play, because that's what you want to see. You want to see the result, and there are so many platforms and tools for making a good AI, but really the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say, and the proof of good AI is in its fighting capabilities. And of course I like a good game of StarCraft Root War, so bring on the game. And I thought, well, let's take stock and see where Cherry Pie is compared to Crazio. And Crazio going for a couple of barracks, Cherry Pie taking it really rather slow. 11 workers, another hatch, a spawning pool, and a very quick expansion. That's good. Crazio normally isn't the most aggressive of players, but now appears to be going for some kind of a marine push off one base with the academy, of course. And the worker numbers are there as well. So Cherry Pie, oh dear, oh dear, these Zerglings, they have now seen it. And Cherry Pie is building a defense accordingly. Then again, if you've got good combat micro and good stim and range, I think, yes, stim is done, range is prepping, no eBay yet. Crazio going for a very dangerous timing. That's 15-ish Marines with 3 medics, and that will be very dangerous for Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie has got 3 Sunkens, but other than that, hasn't got all that much. It's taking to Hydras now, but it's... I'd be very afraid if I saw anything like that. I'd just pop down a lot of Sunkens and try to reach Lurkers or anything like that very quickly. Maybe smuggle out a drone for a hidden third, and here comes the battle. Crazio maneuvering very cautiously and is just waiting to catch up with the rear guard. And will Crazio now try to stim in, or will Crazio take the opportunity to take a natural? Because Cherry Pie, with the forces it's got these Sunkens which represent a lot of staying power, but it can't be aggressive with those. And the Zerglings are not going to cut it versus Marines, and especially not with a Firebat present. So for the moment, Cherry Pie playing very cautiously and teching like a motherfucker. Hello, what's this? That's a lair, and that's pretty ballsy when you're under pressure like this. This should be morphed ASAP, and you really at this point ought to smuggle out a drone just to start a base somewhere else, because you can't really be on 2 bases for too long while, yes, there it goes, while the Terran is macroing away happily. And if Crazio is going to bring a tank, which it's I think it's going to do, if you've got this contained with infantry and there is a tank in the rear as well. Ooh, and now this is very difficult for Crazio as well, because the units from the back are pushing in the units from to the front, and it will be like those casino machines with the coins, which they just get pushed every once in a while into the danger zone. And a Wraith is also very welcome, but would really rather have it kill the workers or an Overlord or thing like that. Cherry Pie now has got 2 bases. Crazio coming up with the SCVs for the repair of that tank. The third is late, and Cherry Pie trying to do it with the Lings, but this is just way too much bio. And oh dear, Cherry Pie in a world of trouble. What can it do, really? It's got another hatchery, and it's got this base operational, so it should mine from there and try to get something done. But now with the tank, Crazio's got a rock solid contain, and Cherry Pie can't do anything about that, because all these Hydras and Zerglings, they just get absorbed in all the firing power of these Stimp Marines. Have we got the +1? No +1, that's pretty strange. And now Crazio's stimming in, and you can see how hard this Zerg army is really melting. It's not even fair at this point. And what you ought to do if you see a thing like that, you should tech 2 Lurkers, or perhaps even try get a Definer out, because it's just way too dangerous to let Terran do its thing. Here goes the last Sunken, and Crazio now taking its sweet time, just doing damage, not overextending. You can see these Zerglings, well, they kill a number of Marines and a couple of medics, but that's it. Crazio with 3 tanks in the rear, not taking a natural command center. I think that's a mistake. Well, it's beating Cherry Pie hands down. And Cherry Pie really hasn't... Cherry Pie only uses the early game units, so it's very hard to say if with an upgrade for Defilers or a thing like that, it could be much more dangerous. But you are not going to stop a Terran with a sunken busting push like this. And although some units are sweeping in from the rear, it's not really working at this point. Cherry Pie is out of money, Crazio's all over this, and has taken a natural. So, good game. And I've got to order my replays. Next game up is the new bot. It's Insanity Bot, based on Steamhammer, playing mech. Last week it was okay, so let's see how it's going to do against Starcrusher. Starcrusher, of course, playing Protoss. Haven't shown it too much, and that's a bit of a mission on my part, so I will, of course, make up for that. Very safe, nice SimCity, a probe for another cannon, and that's a nice defensive setup for one base play. It's very hard for any other AI to bust in there early game. And now the vultures are coming in. They can do away with the zealots, but then again these 3 cannons on the high ground are just going to, oh well, that's 5 cannons on the high ground, are going to make the life of a vulture very uncomfortable. Now Insanity going for the quick expansion, the bunker for extra defense in the wrong position, but still nice touch. And producing a lot of vultures, that's really a lot of vultures. And as you can see by this defensive setup over here, it's not really going to work, and another scouting probe is being sent out. And I don't know why, because its fate is going to be rather similar to the other one. And here comes one more. And that is a good way to lose 10 probes basically for nothing, because you know the Terran is going to be on 2 base. And here comes the next one. So that's rather a drain on your economy, and you shouldn't really do that too often, but here comes the next one. So that's sort of hard-coded, and you can see the worker count of StarCrafter is absolutely, it's just 2/3 of that of Terran at this point. And Insanity is, well, choking its natural choke with factories, but other than that, it's in an okay position. A little bit over-eager with the tanks, but with the bridge I think it can hold for a while. And StarCrafter just keeps feeding workers in there. And yeah, there you go. 1 tank killing, trading 1 tank for a lot of zealots, that's good. And StarCrafter really playing rather defensively and spending way too many workers. So you can see where this is going, no 3rd yet. Oh well, there is one for Insanity. Insanity microing really rather hard. Should keep its throat clear so more units can leave the base at will. And the building placement could be a little bit better. So ideally you'd build in your main because it's safer, or you build next to your expansions, because then if you get contained at your natural choke, you can still make units to relieve your main base. So the tank thing is really working well versus all these cannons. What can you say? And StarCrafter trying to build carriers, but it's not really working. And the reason for that is that the build order is just, wow, bloody hell. Insanity bot really taking over the map, building production everywhere. That's very well done. Especially in the other main, just 2 factories. It's always good to have some extra production outside of your main base. It's maxed and rolling over StarCrafter in style. So that's the GG. And now I've got to pick my games carefully. I've got this beautiful game of Banana Brain versus Crazio. And, well, going to speed up the early stages again a little bit, 16 times the speed right now. And Banana Brain is going for a handful of zealots, camping the ramp, and going for a cyber core, while Crazio goes for a bunker on the high ground, doesn't want to be rushed. And it looks like Banana Brain is going for a ranged goon kind of, ooh, but then again, that's a lot of zealots. Is Crazio ready for that? Yes, sort of. It spots the zealots and immediately moves back to the bunker, but the zealots try and run by, and that, I think, is a good strategy, and even the Dragoon runs by. And Crazio's in a lot of trouble, so we saw Locutus with the goon run by earlier, and now that goon is still on the loose in the main base, doing a lot of damage. Should try and kill the Marine first. But generally is a big nuisance, and Banana Brain going for the quick expansion. Crazio is okay, that goon is somewhat damaged, and it doesn't really know what to kill. And it should be killing workers, but instead it's just running around the base trying to kill everything at once. Workers coming off the line, and this goon gets worse and worse, and now it gets killed by this one SCV. But more goons, oh dear, I totally missed that. 2 more goons are coming up, and while this one is distracting the army over here, 2 more run by, and although all the shields break, and the same must be said for this one, it's nearly dead as well, and it really is dead now. We've got 2 more goons in the main base, and they're doing a lot of damage, lots of mining time lost, and Banana Brain has got 2 bases operational right now. So these 2 goons might even kill the factory, and that would be a huge blow to Crazio. These vultures ought to be repaired stat, and without a tank, I think that you are going to suffer horribly. And this is one of these things which Banana Brain might have hidden up until the main tournament. It's such a deadly strategy, and it's just killing all production, and Crazio has only got 1 more factory. and these goons really can't get toe-to-toe. These goons are regenerating their shields, and Crazio really a little bit sloppy with this this one bunker and these floating buildings. They ought to block off the ramp, but more goons are coming in now. There is one tank, and there was one tank, so right now we've got way too many infantry units in Crazio's base. And Banana Brain with a beautiful analysis of the situation. There is not enough firing power in this bunker, and you see if there is some kind of a wall, if one of this barrack would land over here and two SCVs over there, this could have been prevented. But right now Crazio's base looks like a zoo. There isn't a production facility in the world, and only a command center can produce units, so that is a lost game for Mr. Crazio. And Banana Brain just sending in a handful of units one at a time, tacking up like a madman behind this, not even producing too many units. I don't know why. And the barracks isn't even landing at this point, so that's really wacky, and it doesn't matter anymore. But Crazio ought to have you've got. There are too many bots doing run-bys right now. Iron can do it, Locutus can do it, and now also Banana Brain. So if you see a bot doing a run-by for your read-write files, the next game should have a wall. And if you see one run-by in a game, you should build a wall this very same game to prevent the second run-by, because the first run-by was stopped and the second run-by could have been held, and then you could have built a tank, and then the game would have been open. But this is a nice little victory for Banana Brain, outranging the bunker, and although there are 4 Marines in it, they're pretty dead now, so congratulations Banana Game, Crazio, beware. Next game up is Killerbot versus Toothpick Cactus, and we saw Killerbot's immaculate muta play. It was really, well, it was not immaculate, but it was really very, very good, especially for an AI. The follow-up was pretty bad. So let's see if there is a decent follow-up, or if the Muta Micro has been improved, or we are going to see something completely different. Now, Toothpick has been updated regularly, like clockwork, once a week at least, and that's very good to see. These bots are really getting into shape, and is going for a double barracks kind of play, and a nice corral kind of style with 2 depots, just making sure that your harvesting area is rather secure. Killer going for... oh, finally going for the gas. I thought perhaps with all these hatcheries there might be a Zergling rush coming up, and that would have been interesting versus the bio build. And again, 1 bunker, but no depot over here, just 1 depot. And the barracks over here, so you've, or over here, so you've got this path there. That might work wonders, and Toothpick is going to play some kind of a bio push too, I think. Killer has got these 2 Sunkens, has got the second gas, has got the lair, but this bio push is on the doorstep now, but there aren't any medics. There aren't any medics, there is stim, range is prepping, but there aren't any medics, and that is just a very first way of playing a bio push, just going without the medics, and that's very dangerous. Now, Killerbot will probably have... now the spy will not be done. There are 4 Sunkens. Could do with 1 more, because if you see a lot of angry Marines stimming on your doorstep, you can bet your life on it that next time round they will have some medics with them, and things will get out of hand pretty quickly. Now, natural, not taken, mineral only instead, and I think that Toothpick is... oh, supply blocked again, that's pretty silly. But now the Spire is done, and the Mutas will be out soon. Oh, and the medic dies, and there weren't all that many medics, so that's pretty sloppy. So the build order, the idea to play a bio thing is good, but then you've got to execute it a lot better than this. And now the Mutas are all over the base. They are just going to do damage, going to micro down this turret, and that will mean that they've got access to the whole base over here. The badly damaged Muta over there is going in, and is it being targeted? No, it's not expressly being targeted. It should just be cycled out, just posted over here and wait till it regenerates, and then with more Mutas try to do more damage. Then again, you've got a lot of firing power from a badly damaged Muta. The firing power is just the same. Toothpick Cactus isn't producing units anymore, so that's pretty weird. I think it's stalled, it's got income, and Killerbot is just going to build more Mutas, looks like. So has got a sizable cloud. Let's see how big it is. It's about 8. That's not all that big. And Toothpick has resumed building units. So with infantry, I think you can, even without medics and stim, go toe-to-toe. And the movement is just so bad. This one's stuck and 2 are stuck behind that. But the muta count for Killer is not growing as fast as it could have. Then again, if your biomicros disattro... Oh yes, now with stim and 2 medic, and you see the difference. It's very hard for the mutas to even touch the Marines, and they are taking such a lot of damage. Then again, you've got to defend this base as well. And Killabot just knows where it has to go. Toothpick isn't out of this yet, but seeing the state of its Marine micro, I think it's going to be pretty hard to make something work versus a player of the caliber of Killabot. Killabot's micro isn't perfect yet, but it's doing a lot of damage. This is just silly, not killing the turret or the SCV building it. And bringing some Zerglings as well. And the medics, they should be kept with the Marines, otherwise this happens. But I think now the Bio Bull is getting too big. Killabot only got 20, only got 25, 30 army supply. It's doing a lot of damage though, and no third yet. So macro-wise, really ought to do more in that department. And Toothpick can defend pretty well. It's got 21 army supply. Let's have a look at that to see whether or not it improves. And right now you just ought to build turrets and Marines, and you should be okay as the Terran. There is even a tank now ranging the ramp. That's good. Protected by a bunker and some Marines. And now Killabot is really having to work hard for this. Only 20 army supply, and Toothpick is climbing. Slowly it's climbing. The Marines are completely neglected by these medics, and a lot of workers are getting killed. But in the end, I doubt that if you are going to play Muta, it will be sustainable for very long versus a player with a heavy bio component. And it must be said that Toothpick is playing rather sloppy though. Still no third from Killer. That may cost it in the end. But Toothpick is down to 20 army supply and is losing way too many workers, and it's building a starport while it should just be building Marines and not letting them die all the time. So that's... oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The worker count is atrocious as well. It's 13 and a lot of those are badly damaged. The Lings are just waiting for another chance to run in. And the muta count is growing precipitously. It's only 9, it's 10 now. But as long as you're up on the eco and your muta cloud keeps growing, or at least somewhat, you should not go after the enemy. Just wreck the main, wait for your muta cloud to grow. And have we got any upgrades? Yeah, well, we've got the ground armor and the +1 weapons. But in the end, Toothpick's game plan is just not good enough. The army size is down to 0. The eco is still there. There was a medic over there, and that meant that the medic was not with the Marines. So the grouping and fighting of Toothpick is not up to scratch compared to the muta harassed by Killabot. Killabot taking the game in style. I say GG, and let's hop into the next game, which is Halpan versus Steamhammer. Steamhammer, of course, the father of so many bots. Just like to see it play because although it doesn't really focus on making the best bot itself, it has got some upgrades which are more in the way of playing well and analyzing the game than exploiting the enemy, and I always like to see that. And that's basically one of the main reasons it's so popular with bot coders. Oh, this is a nice wall though, and one Marine can hold it versus a multitude of Zerglings. The Zerglings ought to commit, I feel. More Zerglings are coming, and now Steamhammer, you ought to commit. It's only one Marine. You can wreck this barracks before this one Marine can get stuff done, and oh dear, if there are such a lot of Zerglings outside of your base, you ought to build a Vulture stat and not go for the machine shop. Steamhammer though, what's it going to do? Build another hatch, yes, and a lair and another hatch. All of one base, that's good. But now the first Vulture is out and the tank, so these Lings it's a pretty hefty investment for a Zerg, because you are not building workers, you're not generating income, and if you're going to build an army of about 20 lings, you ought to do something with that. Now, Haupan is in a safe position, has got 2 factories up, has got a large worker count, and is doing okay, and Steamhammer are trying to do a lot of one base. First that Zergen thing off one base, and then... oh dear, this is not good. This is not good at all. This tank is racking up so many kills. It's not good at all. Oh, poor Steamhammer, what are you doing? Yeah. This will turn out well. That's how you waste your army. Oh dear, that must be some kind of an error. Trying to reach the tank, but then again not being able to move through the wall. I thought Steamhammer could deal with that. Will take a natural though, which is good, but it can't really go on losing all the Zerglings like this. This tank has got so many kills, it's unreal. Lots of workers standing about, that's strange too. And I don't know what's with Steamhammer this game. I've seen it play better. And still the Zerglings trying to get themselves hurt and succeeding, that must be added. And well, it's now going for a muter, so build order wise this is a complete... this is completely off. We've got 1 muter, we've got 2, 3 muters, and this is a very late muter play. There are turrets, there are Goliaths already, and Haupan hasn't got a natural, so Haupan thinks it's under pressure, it's delaying the natural perhaps because of that, but these muters aren't doing anything either, so that's... and no third yet too, so it's really rather a wacky game. Haupan is being put on the defensive, but there is not really... oh, the muters are doing damage now, that's good. Doing a lot of damage to the workers, and now are running because there are only 3 muters, that's completely... and Steamhammer, although it's got the contain, it's not expanding as aggressively as it could. It's only got 26 workers. Haupan is in a worse position, it's only got 20 workers. So that's not too great either. But Steamhammer could have run away with this game ages ago. Oh, and finally the Zerglings have stopped running into range of the siege tank. That's good. The muter cloud is sort of there, but it's not all that great. And yeah, still no natural, and mainly I think because all these units keep running in the way of the command center. So as long as Haupan feels it's under pressure, and these 3 muters, they... oh, this game is completely out of control. There was such a lot of money for Steamhammer, but it's not doing anything with that. Finally the worker count is growing, and Haupan appears to have introduced some bugs into Iron's play, because Iron is better than this. The muters are coming in again, still only 3, 1 goes after a turret, and now finally the wall has been lifted, so perhaps Haupan can build a natural and move out with this army. But now Steamhammer has got well, it's got a bit of an eco lead, 50 versus 20 workers, another base coming, but now it will have to fight these mech units, and it's only running. So double the army supply for Haupan, and Haupan is moving out. Steamhammer is... it's sort of fighting, that's good, but Hydras are not a good counter to anything from a factory, so I don't know why Steamhammer is doing what it's doing. It is misreading a couple of things in a well, pretty badly. And now it's not building anything anymore, so that's pretty bad as well. So Steamhammer dropping the ball this game. Going to speed it up just a notch, because if it keels over I don't want to be stuck, and now it's building a lot of overlords. It keeps getting supply blocked, and that's not good. Oh, and finally once it's no longer supply blocked it will produce units, and Haupan still hasn't got a natural, and the main is getting low, but still has got double the army supply of Zerg, and Zerg is just picking all the wrong fights and trying to stop tanks and Goliaths with Zerglings and Hydras in small numbers, and that is not working. The Goliaths aren't even getting touched. The Zerg is just so afraid. Oh, this is painful to watch. And then you just get shelled by the tanks. You've got to do something about the tanks. You just not just stand there and die. It's hard to watch. And meanwhile, Yes, there is the natural, and Haupan is running away with this game. Steamhammer can't get anything done. Oh, it can get an ultra done, but I got to see that ultra. Yeah, there it is, but an ultra and 5 hydras is just about the most expensive and worst composition for fighting a huge mech army you can think of. So I am... no, this is not going to work. I'm quickly going to hop into the next game. I can't watch it anymore. And the next game will be... let's have another Zerg. It's... again, it's Killerbot by Marion Diveka, and I thought, well, let's see how good your Muta play is versus a more established player, and it's Dachin, the Lacuta's spin-off. And this time, Killerbot going for a quick expansion, and then a pull, and then the gas, and Dachin going for the characteristic... what's this? 2 overlords, just in case the first one gets blind halfway across the map. And they appear to have speed, or am I... no, they haven't got speed. Oh god, why? The Zerg, there must be something wrong with the server, because the Zerg are doing crazy things, and really crazy things. Killerbot getting itself supply blocked on 3 bases. Now it's unstuck. It appears... oh yes, I thought not to be going for the Muta thing, but there it is. The Muta thing is prepping, and Dachin is probably going to make a lot of goons, so that will be interesting. And as they say, it will all come down to micro, or it will all come down to these 2 Sunkens being shot to pieces with a nice timing attack, and these Mutas completely ignoring the goons for reasons. Where the hell are they going? It's completely beyond me. You need those Mutas here, right now, and not over here. Oh, they're now coming in, but the goon numbers are there already. And the Mutas, they don't dare engage, and now you're losing a base, and oh god. It's not a good couple of games for the Zerg, and that's... it's hard to watch. And that's a lot of overlords, which you do not need. You need fighting units. And if you are going to build overlords, well, perhaps the overlords were in a dangerous position, and this one Sunken is going to be way too late. Dachin mopping the floor with Killerbot. And although the Zerg, the Zerg. Okay, well, this is the GG. Okay, so now back to the Master. It's Lacutus versus Banana Brain. We saw Banana Brain with a beautiful run by versus Crazio, which was pretty good. And now let's see if it can play well versus Lacutus. Normally and ladder-wise, if you look at the ELO, you've got Banana Brain over Lacutus at this point. And on the Basil ladder, you've got Lacutus way ahead on Banana Brain. So that means it can be anyone's game. Banana Brain has the more recent update and is going for a proxy in the middle of the map. God knows why. Is it going to be goons? No, it's just going to be Zealot. It's a 2-gate and going for... oh god, this cannot end well. There is a scouting probe over there. Is there going to be... yes, there is going to be a cyber core. But I think it's pretty late, and it's a nice army, but this defensive setup by Lacutus is just too good. But then again, there are only 2 Zealots, and that means that it's you're vulnerable. But with the cannon and the SimCity and a goon coming out as well, without reinforcing Zealots, it's not going to work as well as you would have hoped, being Banana Brain. And Banana Brain now is going to make range and the natural. Same thing for Lacutus. Lacutus is a little bit ahead with the natural, and is just sitting on its army and 2 turrets. So that's, I think, is a valid decision. Both players have got... oh, range is not yet done for Lacutus, and that's about it. So I think with the SimCity, Lacutus is in a little bit better position. Otherwise, it's pretty much even. Banana Brain, couple of workers up, couple of army supply up, but then again, the production is... oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Lacutus just running straight into the natural, while Banana Brain's army is sitting over here. Then again, Locutus might have some trouble evacuating its army, and then it would be left without an army. So this is a bit like Dunkirk, but then how it should not have happened for the Allies. And now the army of Banana Brain is coming after the poor defenses of Locutus. And you can see that a lot of damage is being done. Is there any hope for Locutus? Doesn't look like it. But then again, Banana Brain is not yet in full command of this game yet. Third base started though, so Banana Brain is doing a lot of things right. Going after the Forge and the Gateway. And now Locutus is trying to do what it can with its beautiful micro. It's got this perfect line, but still it's got a deficit of, well, 6 to 2, and that's just not good. There are some gateways on the high ground, and I really hope that Locutus can hold, but the natural nexus is under attack, and the ramp is being canned by all these goons. You can see that they are doing so much damage. Banana Brain going for some more tech, has only got one gateway at the moment, so that's, oh no, the two over here, sorry, still standing. And Locutus with 2 badly damaged goons looks like, oh no, there went the goons again, so it doesn't really look good for Locutus at this point. More units are coming, perhaps, no, Dark Templar wouldn't work either because there is an observer overhead. The work is coming off the line, the worker deficit is huge, but it looks like Locutus will clean up the natural eventually, if it can get a goon army together, because Banana Brain is sending a little bit too many zealots in, and now you've got this, well, it's not a critical mass per se, but it's critical defense mass if your units are going to be, the enemy units are coming in one at a time. So Locutus, and that I totally do not understand, but perhaps it thinks it can get anything done over here. There is only one gateway in the main, and that's pretty lackluster. The production capacity for Banana Brain is just not there at this point, so perhaps Locutus is wise to try and do a lot of damage. There is a Reaver though, and the problem will be that there is a lot of production outside of the main. And now you can... Oh, that shot! That was a really ugly shot, hitting all of the goons, taking off their shields, and this one will probably die. Yes, there it goes. And Locutus sticking its neck in way too far there, meeting the Reaver. That is a proverb, to meet your Reaver as a goon, and you'll die. So for the rest, Banana Brain is down on army supply, and God knows why, because it's got double the economy at this point. It's got turrets all over the place, it's got no production, it's still got only 1, 2, 3 gateways. And Locutus is just bossing the middle of the map with all of its goons. Oh, and this Reaver, one more, no! And the goons of Locutus are just way too good. Locutus was down by a lot. And it's just now hanging in with a lot of gateways and just trying to make goons. And Banana Brain is losing stuff left, right and center. And this Zealot isn't having any fun as well. It's a good thing for Banana Brain that Locutus hasn't found these gateways yet, or isn't really prioritizing them. And Locutus is trying to go after this base, but I think that's pretty ballsy. And once these 4 goons catch up, I think that this base is in grave peril. And finally more production is being added for Banana Brain, and Locutus has got a third, so Locutus is really fighting hard, doing all the right things. Well, aside from slipping up and not building any army in the early stages and got busted, but Locutus is fighting like a tiger. And the Locutus tiger is one of the dangerous tigers in the world, far surpassing the Siberian or the Bengal tiger, and is now even taking down a base of Banana Brains. Banana Brain just hasn't got the army at this point, is losing workers, is transferring workers to a base besieged by a lot of goons, and that's not right. Meanwhile, a Reaver is coming up, but you really ought to keep your army together a little bit more. And that is 2 shots from a Reaver and then it's lost, and not even a single goon from that engagement. Well, now it's been killed, but it took a while. And Locutus just leaving the base alone, just leaving 1 goon over there. That's a nice trick. And now Locutus has got the superior army, has got a 3rd base unhindered. Banana Brain expanding further to the south. but the fighting capacity in a straight-up game of Locutus with all these goons, if they are fighting and not just moving... Okay, well, you shouldn't ever praise a player because it's going to bite you. But Locutus has got pretty good micro once it's got its army together. And if it hasn't got its army together, or its wits, it's... it's pretty bad. Okay, it was a major brain fart, losing 10-20 army supply just like that. Now Banana Brain is on the march again. There is a goon and an observer over here, harassing the shit out of some workers. But in general, Banana Brain is in a very good position, and Locutus has got this base over here. Main base mining out for both players. Did I see... yes, I saw... Wow, an Arbiter. So Banana Brain's been teching really hard. And now even killing an observer of Locutus's. So Locutus back to the ramparts. There is a pair of cannons over here, but I feel like there is way too much from Banana Brain. Locutus is trying to produce what it can, but right now it has been investing too heavily in eco again and not in fighting units. And then you've got this situation where you've got an army of about 5 supply fighting an army which is about 10 times as big with superior tech, and that will work out like this. The observer is going to kill 2. Eco is still there, and Banana Brain still only got production in the middle of the map and in the main, so that might be something to work on. But Locutus, although fighting really rather well, the mid-game decisions of when to make units and when to invest heavily in eco, they could be a little bit better. So Banana Brain looking to be in a good shape to be one of the contenders for this tournament. And with these tricks versus these run-bys versus Crazio, oh, that shot was really spot on. And Banana Brain just whipping the heavy stuff around. Storm, Reaver. Oh no, that was a dud after that huge distance. But still, Locutus under so much pressure, it cannot possibly hold. There are way too many units. And once that ramp has been lost, there is an Arbiter and even that one Reaver. It's still got a lot of HP, and 2 Templar are coming in as well. And Locutus is not building any production over here, and that's something which you should do. And now the main base is broken. There is really a limited amount of income for Locutus at this point. Banana Brain is kicking really rather hard. The server is not... well, what is it? It's Crazio, Seda, and then Banana Brain. And Banana Brain is about on par with Seda. But I do expect a couple of good upgrades from Seda, and hopefully from Locutus, Cherry Pie, and well, some more. But for now, Banana Brain is in a good shape. So, thank you for everyone who has been recommending games. I'll probably try and do a last broadcast of the state of the game when the deadline is over. I hope I've got the time for that, and otherwise it will just be done next weekend. And up until the 20th, I wish every coder a lot of inspiration and a lot of time to work on his bot. For now, I say thank you for watching, for coding, and hope to see you again next week. Goodbye.